How divorce affects mental health. Divorce can leave us in an emotional turmoil, full of fears, worrying about the future, grief, loss, sadness, anger, bitterness, and all of those strong emotions can mean you feel as if, you're going mad, you're going crazy. Now, obviously, if people have an underlying mental illness, then a major life change and trauma like divorce can exacerbate that. But that's not really what we're talking about here today. What we're talking about here today is the shock, the trauma, the stirring up of feelings and emotions, and so much to come to terms with that can leave you feeling as if it's all overwhelming, it's all too much, and you don't really know where to turn. Studies have shown that divorce is one of the most stressful things that you can go through. It's second only to the death of a spouse. But even then, with the death of a spouse, it's likely that family and friends are all going to be supportive, and everyone's heading in the same direction to support the person who has lost their loved one. But with divorce, it's different because people feel they need to take sides, or they often do take sides. There's a division that happens, there's a loss of family, there's a loss of friends, and it can feel like we're left that we have to navigate our way through this by ourselves. So even there's a big difference. And studies have also shown that people are much more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety, alcohol abuse or eating disorders when going through a divorce, or after a divorce as well. And of course, one of the reasons that happens is because we want to numb the pain. We want to avoid those painful feelings and put it off. And certain things like eating disorders or compulsive disorders can be about trying to regain control back of something in our lives when everything seems to be falling apart and the pain is too much. So for these situations, I've got 3 tips for you today. And the first one's a bit tricky, but it's really worth doing. The first one is, don't avoid the feelings, allow yourself to feel them. When we fully allow ourselves to feel those feelings, they pass through us and they leave us lighter, and you feel ready for the next step. A lot of these painful feelings will come in waves. So, when the wave comes, allow it to go through and move out. Because if you suppress the feelings, they'll sit inside, and they can cause health problems and just more pain, really, emotional and eventually physical as well. So if you can, see if you can allow that wave to feel it, move it through, and then you can move on afterwards. So that's my first tip, is don't suppress the feelings, allow them to move through you, because as the saying goes, what we resist persists. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is about observing that we have a busy mind when all these things are happening. A lot of the time people go over and over in their mind, why did this happen? What else could I have done about it? If I'd done this, would it have mattered? Could I have saved the situation if that had happened? Why didn't they do this? All these questions and more, they just keep going round and round and round. And really, we're trying to answer questions that don't necessarily have an answer, or not a straightforward answer anyway. The answers to those questions will go very deep indeed. So what I would suggest is that if you find yourself with a very busy mind, asking all these questions, saying, well, I'll feel okay if I had closure, or just not being able to accept the situation and going over the questions, bring yourself to the present. Just take things step by step, quieten that mind and go, right, well, what do I need to do now? And then you do it. Now, what do I need to do in the next moment? And then do it. If you're afraid of the future, it's like, well, I'm okay now. And now I'm okay. I'm okay in this moment and then this moment. There's a great tip on worrying, which is part of it, isn't it? Which goes, if you're worried about something, ask yourself, is there something I can do about it now? If there is, do it. If there isn't, let it go. And when you've done it, if there is and you do it, then let it go. And then, is there anything, if you ask yourself, is there anything I can do about it now? And there isn't, then you let it go. It's simple, but it's a really effective way of bringing yourself again back to the present and say, well, what am I doing now? What can I do for myself now? Is there anything I need to do? Yes, you might need to plan something for the future. Okay, do it, and then go bring yourself back to what do you need to do now? So that's my second tip for bringing yourself into the present. And the third tip is one that you might not expect, but of course I'm a health coach as well as a lifestyle coach and divorce mentor. And so I tend to bring all my bits and bobs in to everything I do. And there is, some of you may be aware, there is a connection between the condition of our gut and our minds. They call the gut-brain connection. So if we're finding that it's really hard to control that busy mind and it is giving you the crazes, then have a look at your diet. Obviously, a good diet involves lots of vegetables and fruits and low in processed sugars and carbohydrates. That's a good principle to go by. But it can also mean that you have an imbalance in your gut of unhealthy and healthy bacteria. Now, we need bacteria in our bodies. We use them for lots of things, for breaking down food and all sorts of synergistic processes. So we need bacteria. But what we don't want is the healthy and the unhealthy bacteria to be out of balance. And when that happens, when it is out of balance, lots of health issues can arise. But also one of the keys is that it can give you a very busy mind. So in order to physically help quieten your mind and help things is a healthy diet, but also some good quality probiotics, ideally with some prebiotics, would also be something to consider. So there's my 3 tips today for how divorce affects mental health and what you can do about it. So we're saying, first of all, feel the feelings, don't avoid them. Calm the busy mind by bringing yourself into the present, and look at your physical diet and your physical health. And if necessary, if you feel it's good, and it is a good idea for most people, to have a good quality probiotic and a healthy diet. So how divorce affects mental health. Okay to ask for help. For help. It's okay to ask for help. All of these things can be overwhelming. You need, if you're feeling those things, if you're feeling you're going crazy, then get some emotional help, get some support. You may feel your fear for the future financially and legally, so get yourself some legal support as well. You don't have to navigate this alone. Divorce does feel like it's a self-navigating of life changes, but there is help there available for you. There's my free course here, and I've got lots of other tips and things on my website and blogs, so have a look at the website. And there is also at the moment a competition, well, not a competition, it's a draw. If you'd like a copy of the audio book for free, Rise Again After Divorce, then just send me a message saying you'd like to be in the draw, and that closes on the 31st of August 2021. How divorce affects mental health and what you can do about it.